Hey there. Ever seen a really great tech idea just fail? It's painful to watch. And a lot of the time, it's not that the vision was wrong. It was the tools. So today, we're going to break down the super important process of hardware and software acquisition. Basically, how to get the right stuff so your project can actually succeed.
So here's our game plan. We're going to start by looking at how to bring order to the chaos. Then we'll lay out a blueprint for success, which includes an 8-step journey. We'll check out the hardware and software menu, the stuff you'll actually be choosing. We'll get into why all this matters so much, and then we'll wrap it up with a super practical checklist you can use right away.
All right, first up, moving from chaos to control. This is all about setting the stage for success. Think of it as creating a solid plan before you even think about buying anything. It's about laying that strong foundation from the get-go.
I mean, it's a question that keeps a lot of people up at night, right? You've got this brilliant idea, you've got a talented team, and still somehow the project just completely veers off course. Why does this happen over and over again?
And here's the kicker. The problem usually isn't the big, innovative idea. Nope. It's the foundation. It's the tools. If you pick the wrong hardware or the wrong software, you can set off this domino effect of problems that can, seriously, sink the entire ship.
So to make sure that doesn't happen to you, we need a plan, a blueprint. And that brings us to our next section, the acquisition blueprint. This is where we get super clear on what we're actually doing, and more importantly, why it's so critical for success.
Okay, so at its heart, this is what we're talking about. It's a formal process. This isn't just a shopping spree, right? It's about systematically figuring out what you need, picking the best options out there, and then getting them in-house so you can build and run your system.
And this whole process has some very specific goals. You're not just buying stuff. You're trying to find solutions that are cost-effective, that are actually available when you need them, that reduce the chances of your system crashing, and, this one's huge, that can be upgraded in the future without a massive headache.
All right, so we've covered the what and the why. Now let's get into the how. This is the 8-step journey, a really clear step-by-step path to getting all the resources you need. Now, don't let the number 8 scare you. We've broken it down to make it way more manageable. It's really just 2 big phases. Phase 1 is charting the course. That's all your planning. And then Phase 2 is building and verifying. That's all about execution.
Let's dig into Phase 1. It all kicks off with requirement analysis. You have to figure out what your system actually needs to do. Then, you hit the market and research what's out there. Next, you evaluate all your different options, weighing cost against performance and reliability. And finally, you nail down a budget and get the green light. Basically, this is your homework phase. Get this right and everything else gets a whole lot easier.
Okay, homework's done, plans approved, it's go time. Phase 2 is all about action. You buy the stuff, you install it, you configure it, and then comes a step you absolutely cannot skip, testing. You have to validate that everything works the way it's supposed to. And the final step, which so many people forget, is documentation. You got to have a clear record of everything for the future. Trust me on that one.
So we've walked through the whole process, but what is it we're actually buying? If this were a recipe, we'd need to know our ingredients. So let's take a look at the hardware and software menu.
So everything we're getting falls into 2 main buckets. On one side, you've got your hardware. This is the physical stuff you can actually touch or, kick if it stops working. We're talking servers, CPUs, keyboards, that kind of thing. Then on the other side, you've got the software. That's the ghost in the machine, the instructions that tell the hardware what to do. Things like operating systems, apps, and tools. And for any system to work, you need both of these playing together in perfect harmony.
Okay, we've gone through a lot of steps and details. So now let's get to the most important question. Why? Why go through all this trouble? Let's talk about the payoff, the real tangible benefits you get from having a solid process like this.
It's a fair question, right? It can feel like a lot of paperwork, a lot of meetings, a lot of steps. So for real, is this whole 8-step journey actually worth the effort?
Oh, absolutely. The answer is a huge yes. A good process makes sure your system is reliable and actually performs the way it's supposed to. It helps your development team be more efficient because they have the right tools. It prevents those super expensive delays that happen when you're waiting on equipment, and it makes future maintenance and upgrades so much simpler, which saves you a world of pain down the road.
And here's a piece of wisdom you should write down. Your relationship with a vendor does not end when you click buy. You have to think long-term. Is this vendor reliable? What's the warranty look like? And what happens when things go wrong? What kind of support can you actually get?
These things are just as important, sometimes even more important, than the initial price tag.
Okay, we are almost at the finish line. To pull this all together, let's boil it down into a simple, practical checklist that you can literally use on your next project.
Here you go. Super straightforward. First, make sure every single purchase lines up with your design and your budget. Second, check out your vendors. Really vet them for reliability and support. Third, please follow all the licensing and legal rules. Fourth, test everything to make sure it all works together. And last but not least, document everything you buy for future you.
And that really brings us to the final thought here. Following this process will get you the right tools for the job, but getting the tools, that's just the beginning. The next and maybe even bigger question is, once you have them, how do you keep them all running smoothly for years to come? But hey, that's a whole other story.